You will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution.
If you want to see what it looks like when a corrupt official gets completely dismantled on Capitol Hill, you need to watch this clip. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett just walked into the House Judiciary Committee and delivered a masterclass in political cross-examination, without asking the witness a single question. Crockett completely tore into Attorney General Pam Bondi, exposing her as an incompetent, partisan operative who is actively weaponizing the Department of Justice to protect Donald Trump while trampling on the First Amendment. From the shocking federal arrests of independent journalists to a massive, systemic cover-up of Donald Trump's deep ties in the Jeffrey Epstein files, Crockett laid bare the rod at the highest level of American law enforcement. Bondi's frantic attempt to deflect using far-right talking points only proved Crockett's point. The DOJ is being run by an administration that cares far more about presidential fealty than the United States Constitution. Let's break down this explosive confrontation.
Objection. The gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Balint, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ, because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter. So let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number 2, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, "This is a good one." Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up, and this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions, because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what are we talking about? Convict some of these perpetrators that rape these women that are sitting behind you, that you refuse to even acknowledge they are here.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, could I have a few seconds back to make up for the yelling? Thank you. General, did you have anything further to say?
Texas, convicted of homicide, Cecil Joseph from Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape, Khalid Khan from Afghanistan. That's why they want to talk about Epstein and not what's happening in their own states.
Thank you, General, and thank you for being here. And this has been quite a spectacle to observe today. I think it's sad. I ran for Congress because I thought we had serious problems in this country we wanted to try to fix together, and this performance today, not yours, General, but some of my colleagues, has not shored up my confidence that we are up to the task. You and I served together for 8 years when you were Attorney General of Florida and I in Kansas. You served professionally. I'm glad to be able to serve with you in these new roles, and
The fireworks began instantly when Representative Crockett took the microphone. In a brilliant tactical move, Crockett announced she wouldn't bother asking Bondi any questions because the Attorney General had already proven she had no intention of answering honestly. Instead, Crockett launched into a rapid-fire, moral lightning round with her Democratic colleague, Representative Becca Balint. Crockett asked fundamental baseline questions. Is it right or wrong to rape children? Is it right or wrong to kill random citizens? Is it right or wrong to enrich yourself as a sitting president? Balint flatly answered wrong to each, allowing Crockett to deliver a stinging blow to Bondi, noting that she could never get such straightforward moral clarity from the actual witness sitting across from her. Crockett mocked Bondi's legal credentials, reminding the room that when a witness refuses to answer questions and repeatedly cross-examines lawmakers, it is the textbook definition of being non-responsive. Turning her focus to the audience, Crockett deeply thanked the Epstein survivors seated in the hearing room, praising them for having more courage and moral clarity in their pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. She then launched a devastating critique of Bondi's actual performance on the job, declaring that under her failed leadership, the United States has become the laughingstock of the world. Crockett systematically dismantled Bondi's written testimony, which claimed goals of ending the weaponization of justice. The Congresswoman exposed a terrifying, dark reality. The Trump DOJ is spending massive taxpayer resources arresting and intimidating journalists while ignoring actual predators. Crockett directly called out the unconstitutional federal arrests of veteran journalist Don Lemon and Emmy winner Georgia Ford for simply documenting an anti-ICE protest at a Minnesota church. She reminded the public that federal judges had repeatedly rejected the DOJ's bogus arrest warrants before Bondi bypassed the courts entirely through a grand jury. Crockett reeled off a list of high-profile legal embarrassing failures for the administration, including rejected grand jury indictments and dismissed cases against Letitia James and James Comey. Mocking Bondi by saying, "I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ because you don't seem to be good at your job." But the absolute climax of the hearing came when Crockett dropped the hammer on the administration's complicity in a massive Epstein cover-up. Armed with concrete data, Crockett laid out the undeniable facts linking Donald Trump to the disgraced billionaire. She noted that Trump is one of the most frequently named individuals in the Epstein files, appearing in over 5,000 files with more than 38,000 references to himself, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. She cited specific FBI investigator notes detailing how Ghislaine Maxwell presented young girls to Trump and how Epstein himself transported a victim to Mar-a-Lago, bragging to Trump that this is a good one. Crockett fiercely alleged that the Trump DOJ's heavy redactions of powerful men's names while accidentally leaking survivors' private identities was a coordinated effort to shield the president's inner circle. When Bondi finally got a chance to respond under the protection of a friendly Republican congressman, she completely fractured. Unable to defend her record or dispute the numbers in the Epstein files, Bondi sunk to personal attacks and standard right-wing deflections. She tried to deflect blame toward House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and then began aggressively reading out names of undocumented immigrants convicted of crimes in Texas, attempting to weaponize border politics to completely hijack the conversation. It was a transparent, desperate effort to change the subject because she knew Crockett had trapped her on her own corrupt record. Jasmine Crockett did what every single American should be doing right now. Demanding real accountability from a weaponized Department of Justice that has abandoned the rule of law. When the top law enforcement officer in the country would rather target journalists and cover up for the president than protect survivors, our democracy is in severe danger. What did you think of Jasmine Crockett's blistering takedown? Did she expose Pam Bondi's total incompetence? Or do you think Bondi's border deflection was justified? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This is a clip the mainstream media wants to sweep under the rug, so smash that like button and share this video to get the truth out. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dive coverage into the fight for our constitutional rights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.